Hello indie game fans, October is kind of barbell shaped in terms of releases due to the Steam Next Festival next week, so here's a big front-loaded week, beginning with the 1.0 release of Ira, a bullet hell roguelike title from 2021 which has been chugging along, where in contrast to Vampire Survivors, you do need to be avoiding enemy projectiles instead of slaughtering them by the dozens and should be a challenge. Here's an interesting title in the narrative text-based adventure game titled I Doesn't Exist, which, strange grammar aside, is a modern iteration of a very classic style of game, self-described as Zoc meets existential crisis and seems intriguing at the very least. This video is brought to you by Galactic Glitch Infinity's Edge, an arena action roguelite title but with physics, having fast-paced action and satisfying combat. In classic space shooters, think asteroids for example, projectiles move in a straight line and then go off the screen if they miss, but in this case, the play area is bounded by an elastic bubble and you do have access to a gravity gun-like weapon and are able to do things like grab massive rocks, chuck them into the bubble and then watch them slingshot back to destroy your enemies. You can also rip out enemy cores or to grab their missiles and throw it back, not to mention a variety of deadly weapons of your own. They are a long-time supporter of this channel, so please do me a favor and wishlist their game on Steam. Here's a pretty cozy looking title in A Tiny Sticker Tale, a puzzle adventure game in which you play as a donkey, adventuring across an island and helping the locals, with the aid of a very special magical sticker book. You're able to pick up and convert any object or character into a sticker, move to another location, and to place them down, using this to solve puzzles and to help the townsfolk. It looks adorable, but do note that it will be a shorter experience of about 2 hours, but the developers promise an emotional tale, so perhaps it will make you cry. Hey, if you made it this far, subscribe to my weekly newsletter to keep on top of all things indie games, link in the description below.
Can you feel it, Harbinger? Do you hear the call?
An ambitious looking title is Bloodline! One which I was hesitant to put on this list since I really hate this asset pack of characters and enemies, but somehow they have convinced publisher Hook, who are under the 505 Games banner, to publish their game, so I suppose there must be something to this.
See what the future.
It's an open world RPG, think Skyrim, which is supposed to be freeform, where you're pretty much free to do whatever you want.
Do whatever it takes.
You can roleplay as a bard,
Toss a coin to your witcher, O Valley of Plenty.
hunt magical creatures, join guilds, construct your village and more, having both first and third person perspectives, so let's see how this plays out.
The story is not written in stone, but in blood.
In the world of the treasure hunter, what is the greatest prize of all? Is it gold, precious gems, or the call of adventure? Could it be our family ties, our link through the ages? Or is it something else entirely?
I've had my eye on Bilkins Folly for a little bit, since it is a pixel art title that's an adventure game first, in which our hero and his dog explore a series of unusual islands. I like the pirate setting and exploration in games is always fun, so this should be a good entry in the space as well.
beg you, please grant my wish. My 7 champions guided here by blessed light. Who among you will be the first to brave the abyss?
2 bigger titles this week, beginning with Silent Hope, an anime action-adventure title coming to us from developer Marvelous, in which our heroes delve into the abyss to investigate a fallen kingdom and the history of the king, looking pretty good.
The world you think you live in doesn't exist. It's a pantomime. Theater. And if you get a glimpse behind the scenery, the stagecraft, you'll discover nothing but darkness. And once perceived, it will swallow you whole. I'm in a race against this darkness. A race to locate an ancient ruin, a tower of unspeakable power. I need the best of the best. But they're all dead. So I'll use you. Scoundrels, thieves, cutthroats.
In doing my research for this video, I realized that the developer of the modern Shadowrun and Battletech games, Harebrained Schemes, has been fully acquired by Paradox, and while they are kind of outside the traditional AAA space, they are by no means a small company, with their catalogue of strategy games simply printing money, with the tactical RPG The Lamplighters League being of interest, in which the Adventurers Guild turns to recruiting unsavory types to help in their fight against an evil cult looking to have Indiana Jones vibes, but do note that this is a $50 game, which is higher than your average indie title. Smaller games begin with Dinky Guardians, a colony sim automation title in which you're attempting to clone dinkies, which are these rabbit-like creatures, who can then help in various tasks like gathering resources or crafting, so you end up building a colony of them with the goal of launching a rocket to colonize other planets, and looks fun. A more casual release of interest is Hidden Through Time 2, Myths and Magic, a hidden object title in which you're searching for items and characters hidden in the environment, where my wife enjoyed the first game and this looks to be more of that.
Our adventurers begin their journey by traveling through the mystical Forest of the Elves. Have a seat, why don't you? And let our lovely performers show you all their favorite myths and legends from ancient Greece, Arabia, the 80s, I
talked about IGNISTONE not too long ago, since this roguelite RPG looks neat and actually has action elements in which you need to time your button presses to parry enemy attacks, with the goal of reaching level 100 in the dungeon, and looks like a challenge. I gave Iron Dungeon a mention last week when covering the Steam Shoot 'em Up Festival, in which I mentioned that event has lost all meaning since all games with shooting were allowed to participate instead of the more classic genre of shoot 'em up games. But anyway, the sci-fi roguelite platformer looks neat and might be worth a play. The developer of Midnight Girl did send me an email and I thought they looked neat, being a 2D point-and-click adventure game set in France in the 1960s, in which you play as a cat burglar, with a heist being the central event and might be fun. A cool-looking adventure crafting title is My Little Universe, one in which you're exploring new islands, mining resources, building and expanding a city while fighting monsters, looking pretty promising and ambitious as well, and has a good look. Here's a controversial title since Ooblets got a bunch of hate after they announced their Epic Games Store exclusivity back in 2019, and I know some people do still hold a grudge, but from what I know, this ultra cozy farming life sim title is wonderful and chill and is the complete opposite of all the hate and controversy, so cozy game fans, this one's for you. I came across this game on Twitter, where Step by Step is a frustration platformer in which you cannot stop moving, so think Pogo Stuck, but where you're constantly moving forward, with multiplayer support as well, and looks like a nightmare and a next generation rage game.
I wasn't interested in a quiet career, plugging away in the lab. I sought a source of power, and I found it in a machine.
This next title looks like it's for strategy game fans, in which you use the fabulous Fear machine to spread fear and terror through the world, placing cryptids and spreading stories to create as much horror as possible, with it curiously being competitive and having AI opponents to play against, all in a bid to control the world.
Here, this is where I'll begin edging out my competition. I must plan carefully, though. Other powerful individuals have their own agendas at play. To maintain my influence, I must dispatch the machine's agents to create disturbances in neighboring regions. Then I can use those agents to dig up dirt on my rivals, reveling in their downfall. I'm not vain. I know the machine shares its dark design with other masters across the globe. The fate, or should I say the fear of the world, rests in our hands.
I don't really agree with Playway's method of doing business, but that's another story for another time, since popular games do come out of their ecosystem, such as the original Thief Simulator, with the sequel releasing this week and looks intense, and based on the first game, should be pretty popular as well.
That's ridiculous!
You can practice on a lock in 102 if you want. Practice is always good. Great stuff! You can disable a camera with your drone. As you gain experience, better tools will become available to you. They're coming. You have 1 minute. It would be really funny if you got caught.
Stop right now!
Let's kick off the top 5 with Kingdom Shell, a pixel art Metroidvania title that I've had on my watch list, really accelerating their activity as they ramped up towards release and looks like a potential hidden gem of the week. It is set in a world in which the magical barrier or shell protecting the kingdom has begun to weaken, which causes all sorts of nightmarish creatures to invade. The kingdom's guards turn to a most unlikely source for help in the half-blood named Elias, who has nightmarish blood running through his veins, enlisting his help to fight back against the monsters. The melee-focused combat looks intense and does have magic as well, along with an intriguing kingdom to explore and characters to meet and help, giving me a little bit of Hollow Knight meets Blasphemous vibes. The barbell nature of this month means that a bunch of games that I just previewed are releasing this week, such as Station to Station, a cozy city builder title in which you are creating connections between stations and watching the trains go by, and in doing so, results in the landscapes and cities evolving and thriving before your very eyes. I'm not a fan of voxels, but this game has changed my mind, so get ready to chill out with this title. If you're an indie developer and have no idea how to start with marketing your game, get on my mailing list via the link in the description below, where I'll send you some free templates and guides soon. The The long-in-development roguelite citybuilder.h also releases this week after something like 7 years in development, in which you play as the village elder, using his knowledge to guide the town, with new technologies to research, natural disasters to manage, and workers to assign, and looks like fun. One of the most impressive looking roguelite titles is Quasimorph, in which you play as a PMC fighter, exploring your sector of space and unraveling a dark mystery that threatens all life. You're cloning past fighters and using them to explore these locations, and has an extraction twist as well, in which you have to make it back to your ship alive to retain the loot, otherwise you will lose it all. I do like it when roguelites give you a narrative explanation of why there is a run-based structure to the game, with the whole clone aspect fitting in very nicely with the theme, and should be one of the best entries in this genre.
Welcome, comrades, to my coastal paradise, the Saffron Isles. I'm Nadia, local pirate and purveyor of havoc.
I don't have too much to add, since Wargroove 2 is the sequel to an excellent tactics title that is Advanced Wars in all but name, featuring returning factions and characters, but with a new faction, units and commanders, and should be great as well, with more of the best tactics titles in this video.